Let's make a plant-based sweet potato crust pizza. Welcome back to the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show, where we make plant-based cooking easy. I'm Jill, and we are going to jump into making this delicious pizza. So it is made with my sweet potato flatbread recipe. That's going to be the crust, minus one ingredient, but it's just kind of a simplified version of that. So we're going to start with that. I've got 1 cup of organic rolled oats that we're going to make into a flour really quick, just in our NutriBullet here. You can do it in a regular blender, whatever type of blender you have, just to make a flour. Okay, that's a quick grind. That's all you need to do, really. It doesn't need to be anything super fine grind. Throw that in the bowl. And I've got 1 cup of sweet potato puree. I just baked my sweet potato until it was really soft with the skins on. And then I just scooped the flesh out and smooshed it with a fork. So that's going into the bowl. 1/2 cup of arrowroot powder and a teaspoon of baking powder. So now we're just going to stir that up. And you want to get this pretty well mixed. Once you get it all just basically incorporated, you can even mix it with your hands. That might be a little more effective. Okay, once you get the dough finished like this, it's a very sticky dough. So you need to have a couple pieces of parchment paper and a rolling pin. You could also just smush this out with your hands. You don't need to do it this way, but I'm going to roll it out just so it gets to be a really consistent thickness. So I just kind of roll it in a nice ball. Then I'm going to smush it down just a little bit first. And you can make 1 large pizza with this, or you could divide this into 4 and make 4 mini pizzas. So everybody would have their own individual size pizza. So then you're just gonna roll it out. You know, I like to alternate directions just to keep, to keep it circular. But if you don't care if it's a circle, you could also just put it onto a piece of parchment paper and roll it out flat and put it on a cookie sheet. And the thickness is really up to you. You don't want it to be too thin, because when you put all the toppings on, it can soak through and make your pizza crust a little bit soggy. So you want it to be, at least 1/4 inch thick, because it's not going to poof up like a regular flour dough would. It does rise just a little bit, but not like a regular pizza crust. All right, from there, I just peel off the top layer. And then I'm gonna put it onto my cookie sheet here, my baking tray, on the back. Because this has a lip to it, an edge, I'm gonna do this on my pizza stone, which I already have in my oven, and I preheated the oven to 400 degrees, and I let that pizza stone sit in there for about 20 minutes at that temperature, just to preheat the stone. So this way, I can slide the pizza off onto the stone. All right, let me get my other ingredients and we'll make our sauce, and I'll show you how to assemble. While we're waiting for that, I'd like to share some background on our show. The Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show is crowd-funded, which means these free weekly recipe videos, along with our entire catalog of free printable recipes on our website, plantbasedcookingshow.com, and our Plant-Based Cooking Made Easy cookbook series, are all made possible in part by the generous patronage of our supporting membership community. So if you love our recipes, I invite you to join us on our mission to make plant-based cooking easy, and follow the link in the description to become a supporting member today. There's no denying the plant-based diet is a nutrient powerhouse, but did you know there are a handful of hard-to-get nutrients even well-crafted diets are often lacking?
The latest research suggests that complementing your diet with a few specific vitamins, minerals, and omega-3s will help boost your energy and keep you thriving for the long term. That's why my daily health routine includes Complement Essential. Complement Essential contains the 8 critical nutrients lacking from most plant-based diets in dosages optimized specifically for us. Plus, Complement is completely transparent about ingredient sourcing and third-party testing, publishing the results directly on their website. As a special discount for our viewers, just use code PLANTBASEDEASY at checkout to save 15% off of your order.
Okay, so first we're going to make our sauce. So this is just a cup of tomato sauce. This is just a very basic pizza sauce. I've got a half a teaspoon of thyme, a teaspoon of oregano, a teaspoon of basil, a teaspoon of onion powder, and about 3 cloves of garlic minced, and a teaspoon of tamari, just to give it a little bit of saltiness. We're just going to stir that together. Okay, so there's our sauce. Now you need to get out all of your toppings, and these are the toppings that I chose. This is just what we like to put on our pizza, but you can put whatever you like on your pizza. So we've got mushrooms, arugula, I've got some red bell peppers, and we've got my homemade pepperoni, and I'll give you a link to that recipe in the details below. And also I've got some of my smoked Gouda cheese, which you see is shreddable, and it melts, kind of melts. And then I've got some Kalamata olives. So we're just going to start with our sauce. And you can put as much or as little of the sauce as you want. You don't have to use all of this, but I kind of like my pizza saucy. So I'm going to use most of it. And then I'll keep just a little for dipping. Okay, there we go. Put our mushrooms. And I probably put the most mushrooms on. I love mushrooms. It's probably my favorite topping for pizza. So we usually go pretty generous on the mushrooms. These are Kalamata olives that I just sliced up. Okay. Then I put a little bit of arugula, just so you get some greens in there. I love the nutty flavor of arugula, but you could use spinach leaves. That works too. Those are really good. Okay. But just like I said before, you don't want to overdo it with your toppings because, you know, you don't want your pizza to be soggy. Okay, then I'll put some of the pepperoni on there. And the red bell peppers. Center. And then some of our delicious cheese. The same with this. You can do with just a little bit of cheese, or you can do a little bit more cheese. That's completely up to you. All right, so now we're headed to the oven. So the oven is on 400 degrees, and we're gonna bake it for, you're gonna have to kind of check it. I would start with 10 minutes and then check it, but I'm probably gonna go up to about 15 minutes. Okay, it's out of the oven. Come on and take a look. Oh my gosh, I wish you could smell it. It is making my mouth water. So I'm gonna let this cool for just a few minutes and then I'll meet you at the table for taste. All right, time to dig in. All right, I already got a piece cut for myself. Look at that, gorgeous. And just a note on the crust, if you like a crunchier crust, you can always pre-bake the crust about 5 minutes before you put the toppings on and put it back in the oven. But I like it just like this. That is so good. Come on back next week for another great recipe.